Hello, welcome to our continuing devotional. We're currently going through the book of Philippians, and we're in Philippians chapter 4, and we're going to be picking it up at verse 10. And in these concluding verses, Paul's going to be talking about the financial support he has received from the Christians in the city of Philippi and how he views it and how God views it and how they uh, have been a blessing to him and have brought glory to God. Keep in mind that whenever Paul is writing this letter, he is actually in prison at that time. And in that day, prisoners had to find support from the outside. They did not get support from the Roman government. The food they needed, the clothing they needed, the materials they needed, the daily needs that they needed had to be supplied from friends or family outside of the prison. And so Paul is in that position. He is imprisoned, and the church at Philippi, the Christians at Philippi know this and know his faithfulness to God, and he's in prison for serving Jesus. And so they send a financial gift to help him in that time of need. It's part of being a Christian, is supporting one another financially. So he says in Philippians 4, starting in verse 10, Paul discusses that. And he says, listen, verse 4 or verse 10, I rejoiced in the Lord greatly that now at length you have revived your concern for me. You were indeed concerned for me, but you had no opportunity. Not that I am speaking of being in need, for I have learned in whatever situation I am in to be content. So he says, I rejoiced, whenever you brought this gift, I rejoiced. And he's not so much rejoicing in the gift itself, though I'm sure that was a blessing, but what the gift says. He says that you're concerned for me. And they had been concerned the whole time, but there had been no opportunity for them to bring the gift, to get the gift to him. He was not in the city of Philippi. He's in Rome. So he says, I'm so glad to receive this gift from you because it's an expression of your love for me, your concern for me. And even though it was delayed and you had no opportunity, now that I have received it, it just brings joy to my heart because it says how much you care and you love me. But then he says, I don't want you to think that I'm kind of using words to manipulate you or make you feel guilty or try to get more out of you. Because he goes in verse 11, I'm not speaking of being in need. I'm not sitting here pleading and begging and trying to emotionally manipulate you to give. Because listen, I've learned in whatever situation I am in to be content. Paul did not feel that he had to have a certain level of financial accommodations and material accommodations to be content in life. He goes on to explain what he means in verse 12, where he says, I know how to be brought low. I know how it is to live in very humble, poor circumstances, and I know how to abound. I know what it's like to have a lot of money. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. And then verse 13, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. And so what Paul is saying here is, when he says, I know how to be content, I know how to live in whatever circumstances, whether I'm flat broke or whether I'm making 100 grand a year. I know how to be content in every situation, whether I'm hungry or well fed, whether I'm in need or have abundance. I know the secret. Well, what is the secret to being content and being not having anxiety in every circumstance in life, no matter where you may be materially or financially? What is the secret to contentment? Verse 13, I can do all things through him, through Christ, who strengthens me. Paul says I can simply go through anything. I can go through a physical sickness. I can go through poverty. I can go through imprisonment, and I can be content in all those situations. I can be at peace in all those situations not because I have some internal fortitude, intestinal fortitude that enables me to just handle life and just take it by the horns. Not because of that, but because of Christ. He simply knows that there's never a situation he's in that he doesn't have his God and his Savior and his Lord to strengthen him, to guide him, to enable him to go through that situation victoriously. That's the secret to being content, knowing that Jesus is with you and is going to give you all that you need at that moment. I hope you've learned that secret also. Have a blessed day.